Hello, I'm Jerry Kirkpatrick, and I'm teaching the fundamentals of metal shaping. Yes, the title is correct. We are going to use 4 flat washers on the bead roller to make 10 different designs, and you'll see how those are done right now. Yes, so what we'll be using is just standard 3/4 inch flat washers that I've bored out to 7/8, and then I've taken a pair of them, which are the blue and the red, and put them together and turned a nice radius on both of them. And on the bottom we'll be using them with the radiuses in, and then on the top we'll be using them with the radiuses out and different spacers to get different designs. And also what we'll be using is various spacers that I've made, and they're all numbered, and I'll be showing you a list of all their widths. So if you want to reproduce those, you can do so at your leisure. If you want to reproduce what we'll be using in this video, this one here is merely a flat washer, maybe a 1/8 of an inch thick. This is only a spacer to make sure that I can tighten all of the pieces up on the shaft of the bead roller. This one here is 1 inch 250 thousandths, and it will be on the bottom and it will not be moved. The next one is 385 and 305 thousandths, 240 thousandths, and 180 thousandths. This is all that we'll be using for this whole demonstration, the whole video. Now, as you can see, I've got the machine set up. Here are the 2 flat washers with the radiuses towards the inside, and the number 2 spacer, and these will stay the same. I'm not going to move these for this whole demonstration. And then we have the radius on the outside here and here on these 2 flat washers. And then we have spacer number 15, 14, 13, and then the washer just as a spacer, and then here's number 16. And these spacers will be moving all around during this demonstration, and you'll see what a wide variety of looks we'll get when we roll the bead. Okay, now that we have the 2 flat washers on the top properly spaced, 2 flat washers on the bottom properly spaced, now we have to get them lined up, so I'll loosen the shaft and pull that slightly forward, come down, and if you notice as I go down, it almost centers itself, but I want about the same space between both, and that is material thickness. So I've got that spaced properly. Now to figure out how deep we want to go, so I'm going to use a piece of 1100 050 thick material. I'm going to place that in there and bring this down until it's tight. And then I'm going to go 1.5 revolutions, and that's going to give me the depth that I'm after. Now that I've got that set, I'm going to put this just barely in, tighten that up. And roll the first bead. Now let me change the setup and we'll roll the second one. So now what I've done here is I've moved the number 15 to the outside, and then I have the 13, 14, and 16 lined up there. Everything else is the same. I haven't moved the shaft, so we'll have a very narrow distance in here, and this one will be off at a slight angle. So let's look what that one, how that one looks. Now you can see here that these two angles are about the same. This one has remained the same, but this one comes in slightly. If you look at this side, it's even more pronounced. These two are the same. This one is the same as these two, but this one comes up at a much slighter angle. So let me change these over. All I'm going to do is take one of these out, put it on the outside, and that will move this washer in some. Okay, I've got them switched around now. Now I have the number 13, 14, 15, and 16. Only 15 and 16 are in between, and I still haven't moved the shaft. So let's see what this one looks like. Now, as we come farther in this way, what I'm going to have to do is, in order to make this side more pronounced against this washer, I'm going to have to push down to get this portion more of a seam in here. So here we go. As you can see here, we have a very slow rise on this side and a nice sharp on there. You can see that. You can see this line here, and then it follows out all the way on the other side. So let's make the last move and see what the last one looks like. Okay, here's the last one. We have number 13, 14, 15, and the only spacer we have now in here is number 16. So this is the last one. So let's see what this one is going to look like. And this one I'm going to push down fairly hard and get that seam on the outside. And there you can see we almost have nothing. There's a slight amount there. On this side it's a little pronounced, but this might be pretty good. If you don't push down on there, that would almost blend right into it. It's kind of a different look. So now what I'm going to do is go through all of these, the same spacer movement, the same, put the spacers back in the same place. But what I'm going to do now is with each of these different settings on the top, I'm going to make these two washers here centered on the bottom. I'm not going to move the bottom, but I'm just going to go through this same that same setups that I had, but I'm going to center the shaft each time I move these farther in. Okay, we are right back where we started. We have number 16, 13, 14, 15. And when I pull this down, since I didn't move the shaft, we still have material thickness in between the top and the bottom washers. So let's roll this kind of as a baseline, and then we'll start moving these in and keeping whatever the roll is centered. Same look as we had on the first one. So let me change this over and center the dies. Okay, now that I've got these moved over, we have spacer number 15, 13, 14, 16, and that's moved this washer in. So what I need to do is move it out. I've measured this before, and the space, if this were flat up against here, I'd have 120 thousandths. So what I have to do is measure and get this to 60 thousandths on each side, and that's right about there. So I'll tighten that up, and let's run this one. And if you notice through this whole demo, I'm never having to readjust the top shaft. All I have to do is open and close it. The quick release is unbelievable. So now you can see that we're gaining a little more taper on these sides here. See how sharp up and down this is, and these are tapering in. So let me move it one more time. Okay, now we have number 13, 14, 15, 16, and we have 200, and if this washer is flat up against this one, there would be a 270 thousandths space in between there. So half of that is 135 thousandths. So I'm going to move these over, this one over, until we have 135 thousandths. Oops. That would be right there. Let me tighten this down and see what this one looks like. And now you can see that we're getting quite a bit of space and a much longer taper in between the outside and this center one. So let me move one more. Okay, now we have, what is it, 566 thousandths. So we're wanting half of that, which is 283. So that would be right about there. Checking the other side. Just a little, right about there. And to get more definition, I'm going to go down a half a turn. Now we're setting that a little bit deeper, and we'll run this one. And now you can see that we're getting a heck of a lot of difference in there. See how much smoother this rise is on either side. So let's go with the last setup. Now you can see this is very narrow now. We have number 13, 14, 15, the spacer, and then the only thing we have here is number 16, which is only 180 thousandths in between there. And if this washer were touching this washer, we'd have 808 thousandths in between there. I'm going to set this at 404. Loosen the shaft, bring this down, and bring this into 404, and we have 404 on the other side. Move that just a little. I think we're good there. And I'm going to bring this down even one more. And with this one, go right in the middle. And now I'm going to make sure that these are staying down. And there you have the last one. You can see what a slight rise we have in there. So there you have, just by moving these spacers around, we got 10 different looks. 10 different, totally different designs. I'll show you both of them in just a second. But by having a quick clamp, I made 10 different looks just with 4 flat washers. So this was an interesting exercise. The one that I did first, with the lower 2 washers remaining the same width and only moving the top 2 over, making them more narrow and keeping the same spacing on the right side. There's actually only 2 of these that I would even consider using. This one has a little slower rise on each side. This one's fairly sharp. So out of this whole exercise, these are the only 2 that I could see me using. But the other one, where I maintained the width of the 2 lower flat washers and just kept narrowing and centering the top 2, almost all of these seem to be something that I would use at some time or another. One thing that we didn't explore on this exercise was narrowing the bottom 2 washers as we narrowed the top 2. So in this you can see that we maintained the outside, we maintained a slope. The slope actually varied, but if we narrow the center and at the same time narrow the bottom 2, that would be a whole different look. So if you decide to use this style, these 2 flat washers on the bottom, 2 flat washers on top, radiused edges, try all sorts of different offsets. Another thing you can do with these that I used on another project was I only used one on top, one on the bottom, and I had the radiused sides facing one another, and it makes an excellent stepping, siding down one side. You can do a lot of even artwork with them. So I think we came up with a unique, I guess, situation here. So go get some flat washers, turn a slight radius or a constant radius on 2 of them, and see what comes out. The other thing is, to make your spacers, I use a piece of 3/4 inch black pipe, and you have to drill that out to 5/8 to fit the shaft size, and then you can just cut them off, part them off to any size you want. The other thing is you can use a piece of 1-inch round tubing with a 16 gauge wall, 06250, 06, and this you don't have to do anything except if there's a burr inside, if there's a flash from the seam, you may have to file that out. But if you get some 1-inch 16 gauge, you can cut whatever you want off of there, and it fits right on the Harbor Freight, at least, shafts. So there you go. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to get a set of plans for your bead roller to make it as usable as mine, you can click on the button below, Valley Forge and Welding, and that'll take you to my website where you can purchase the plans. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them below the description. And thank you very much for watching.